Former U.S. President Donald Trump's lawyers are calling the impeachment trial an act of political theater. They have accused the Democrats of using the trauma caused by the Capitol Hill riots for their own benefit. Now the hearing is set to begin on the same Senate floor, which was taken over by Trump's loyalists in an unprecedented attempt to overturn the November election result. In a brief filed on the eve of the trial, Trump's lawyers leveled wide-ranging attacks. They said, and I quote, "Instead of acting to heal the nation, or at the very least focusing on prosecuting the lawbreakers who stormed the Capitol, the Speaker of the House and her allies have tried to callously harness the chaos of the moment for their own political gain." They suggested that Trump was simply exercising his First Amendment rights when he disputed the election result. They also argued that Trump explicitly urged his supporters to remain peaceful and therefore cannot be blamed for the action of the rioters. Back at the Senate, leaders have reached a bipartisan agreement on the structure and timing of the trial. A draft agreement has been signed by the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Republican Leader Mitch McConnell. The trial will begin with a debate and vote on whether it is constitutional to prosecute Trump. There will be no witnesses, and Trump has declined a request as of now to even testify before the Senate.
Economic times. I yield. Each side will have ample time to make their arguments. 16 hours over 2 days for the House managers, the same for the former president's counsel. If managers decide they want witnesses, there will be a vote on that, which is the option they requested in regard to witnesses. The trial will also accommodate a request from the former president's counsel to pause the trial during the Sabbath. The trial will break on Friday afternoon before sundown and will not resume until Sunday.
Said when asked that there was no need for him to receive them, and he referenced, of course, his erratic behavior, which I think many Americans would agree with him on. He was expressing his concern about former President Trump receiving access to sensitive intelligence, but he also has deep trust in his own intelligence team to make a determination about how to provide intelligence information if at any point the former president requests a briefing. So that's not currently applicable, but if he should request a briefing, he leaves it to them to make a determination.
On the eve of the trial, Trump was spotted golfing at his club in West Palm Beach, Florida. The proceedings are expected to diverge from a lengthy and complicated trial that resulted in Trump's acquittal last year. This time, Trump's battle cry, "Fight like hell," and the storming of the U.S. Capitol Hill unfolded before the eyes of the entire world. All eyes are now on Trump's second impeachment trial. For more on this story, we are now being joined by our correspondent Nick Harper from Washington, D.C. Thanks for joining us, Nick. Now we're just getting reports that Senate leaders have reached an agreement on the impeachment trial rules. So tell us more about the same and what this deal actually entails.
Yeah, that's right. This is something that needs to be worked out before an impeachment trial can get underway. The Democrats and the Republicans effectively need to work out the rules of the road, how it will be conducted over the coming days. So they have decided that starting Tuesday afternoon, there will be 4 hours of debate on whether this impeachment trial is constitutional or not, because that is the question at the heart of this whole conviction process. Now, there will be a vote at the end of those 4 hours. It just needs a simple majority. The Democrats hold that in the Senate, so it's likely to pass, and then we will proceed to the trial portion of this whole hearing. That will take place starting on Wednesday afternoon, and each side gets 16 hours to outline their case, with the Democrats as the prosecution going first, Donald Trump's lawyers going second. The Democrats are likely to focus very much on a video-heavy presentation, showing many of those videos that we saw on January the 6th with those rioters storming Capitol Hill, really trying to show the fury that both sides felt in the hours when that was taking place. The fact that it's taking place on a crime scene in the hall of Capitol Hill, I think will be something that the Democrats will want to play on, to remind the senators that many of them were hiding in the offices while those protesters were storming the building.
Right. Now, Nick, interestingly, earlier, Donald Trump's lawyers were calling the impeachment trial an act of political theater and accusing Democrats of using the trauma caused by the Capitol Hill riots for their own benefit and for political gain, as they term it. Now, they seem to have turned the argument on its head. So tell us more about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what they're saying, that this quite simply is an unconstitutional process. You cannot try a president who has now left office and who is now a private citizen. They're saying that this riot had been planned for many days in the run-up to the actual day, January the 6th, and therefore arguing that Donald Trump's speech about an hour before the storming of Capitol Hill in no way provoked the rioters to carry out the actions that we then saw unfold. They say that he was simply making a speech that is allowed in the United States under the First Amendment. He has the ability to say what he wants. Those are the free speech amendment things that he is allowed to be able to say here in the United States. So they are arguing that not only should this be thrown out, but that quite simply none of the senators should even take it seriously, because he is now a private citizen and cannot be removed from office if he were to be convicted.
Right. My final question, Nick. How likely is it at this point that Donald Trump will actually be convicted of the crimes that he has been accused of with respect to the Capitol attack?
Well, it seems very unlikely. I mean, bear in mind that they need to have a 2/3 majority to convict the president. That means 67 senators in total. There are 50 Democrats, 50 Republicans. It means that the Democrats need 17 Republicans to join them in convicting President Trump. That seems unlikely because just a week ago, when those 50 Republican senators met to talk about whether they thought that this whole procedure was constitutional or not, 45 of them said that they felt it was unconstitutional, suggesting perhaps only 5 Republicans would join the Democrats in convicting the president. Now, the Democrats say that this needs to take place, that he needs to be convicted, because that would mean that he would never be able to hold public office again. But the Republicans at this stage, at least from the noises that they've been making over the last week or so, seem unlikely to form the type of numbers that the Democrats need in order to be able to get a conviction of the former president.
Right, Nick. Thank you so much for all your inputs and thank you for joining us. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.